Alright, we're getting our campsite all put away. Gonna go back to the destruction in Newton. They got power on a couple days ago, so we'll go back. I think a bunch of our friends, we already had this trip planned, and they said don't worry about it, we'll take care of the trees. And so they went ahead and worked a lot to get some of the tree out of my backyard. That was really nice of them, so I really appreciate that. All the friends that helped out with that, that really means a lot. Thank you very much. So we're going to go back, get back on track, assess the damage, and insurance doesn't show up until the 24th. See what kind of check they're going to give, and hopefully it'll be enough to cover the losses. We'll see how that goes. All right. Christian, any last words?
Tell my family I love them.
Okay.
You should have been recording.
So you're gonna kill me now?
I was singing. Instead, you were filming.
You were singing? You were singing?
I was rapping.
He was rapping.
It's over now, John.
It's over? It's the moment's gone?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's in the background in my previous take that I was recording myself, because I was more important, so I was recording myself.
Gotcha.
Love you, Christian.
Yeah.
Love you. So here we are in the backyard. Let's see what it looks like.
Bad thing.
Yep, all these were crushed. All this was crushed.
All of our plants?
Yeah, but those will come back. They were, all the branches were laying across all this. So, hey, I wonder why they didn't get the rest of that out. That's on our property. Oh well. Yeah, right there. That corner is still.
Maybe they were doing that while
when he was throwing a fit. Probably. Okay, so there's antenna wire. There's antenna wire. What about my fiberglass pole? Is it like just completely gone? Here it is. Oh. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty well obliterated. Well, the rest that's in the alley, the city can clear. Really, anything that's in the alley is the city's problem. So they have to get it cleared. So that's fine. I think it's surprisingly, other than that corner, which we'll still have to deal with, but see, if the city comes, they'll probably get that corner. Maybe that's why they figured they wouldn't worry about it. Because anything in the alley is, yep, that's my backyard. Isn't that awesome? Right. All right, so it's the 26th, 16 days after Derecho, and our street had debris all the way down it from trees, stacked. Every street has in here in Newton. And yesterday I had to take a bunch of my fence to the dump finally, and as I was going there was literally dump truck after dump truck non-stop. These guys were working, just a lot of area to cover. And so last night they finally got to our street. Yay! Looks like this is the last of the street. Our street. They still got a lot of the town to still go. But they are hard at it. So to summarize our location, we had no power for 5 days. I still don't have internet. And any of the neighbors on this street from Windstream, because that's a set of poles in the alley. I ended up scrapping the food because we went ahead and went on that camping trip. We just had to get out of Dodge. I was getting tired. The issue with running the generator here is, honestly, if I could put it out towards the street, it might have been better. But then somebody would have walked off with it, because the issue with running a generator where we had it is my cord wasn't long enough from my camper to like put it way back in the backyard. And if I put it over to just behind my camper, it's between my garage and the neighbor's house. So all the exhaust fumes just sit there. And if I put it up here, it's kind of the same thing. We had our car, we had no room on the street because everybody's vehicles were parked on the street, and there was just no room. So I had very little airflow, because even when we had the generator and we used it on our 10-week trip, I could take and attach it just to the tongue of the trailer, but it was all wide open, you know, like when we were at Antelope Island and stuff like that. And so you had airflow, and there was a breeze, and it would take the fumes away. Also, it wasn't like we would run it all day. Here, we were running it all day. When we went camping, we only ran it for maybe a few hours at a time. So even if you aren't getting enough fumes that would just kill you, here, for example, it wasn't so much fumes that they suffocate us, but they were enough that your throat starts getting sore and stuff like that because you're exposed to the pollutants. So we didn't have that issue when we were on our trip, because we didn't use the generator for literally, as soon as it got hot, noon to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. Or even longer if we're trying to keep the refrigerators cold and everything else. So I've got to come up with a generator solution for long-term emergency use. I'm going to take my truck and I'm going to look to see what would make to add a generator on it. I know this sounds crazy. That truck, I don't know why I like it. I hate trucks. I always hated trucks. I thought they're big and obnoxious, but maybe it's just because it was my dad's truck. I don't know, it just feels like my truck. It feels like something I actually find that I enjoy driving. It gets a little less gas mileage than my Pilot, but not that much less, honestly. It is 4 or 5 miles to the gallon less, but like if you're just going short little distances once in a while, that doesn't really add up to anything. And for the long distance, it got 16 miles a gallon. It could probably pull this camper, and it may not even get less than 16 miles a gallon. It might do better than my Pilot. So that'll be something I will have to see. I average about 14 miles to the gallon on a trip when I take a Pilot to pull the camper, even to Colorado. And that includes all the mileage. So in other words, it might be more like 13 miles to the gallon when I'm pulling the camper, but then I disconnect, and then I'm driving around town and everything else, and so then I get about 20 miles to the gallon. And so when it's all said and done, when I'm done with the trip, I'm about 14 miles to the gallon. That's pretty much what I made on that entire 10,000 mile road trip going all out west. That's about what I made going over Eisenhower Tunnel and all that to go to Delta, Colorado. And by the time I got done doing all the stuff that we did when we were detached from the trailer, we still averaged for the entire trip 14 point whatever, like 14.2, 14 point whatever, but 14 miles to the gallon. So I would be curious, what do I get with this truck pulling my camper, which is a light camper? I got 16 miles to the gallon with this truck, and it does need some little TLC. I need a fuel pump, I need tie rods, might be loose, I think there's an exhaust leak, and little things. Otherwise, I think it's good. I don't know if I burned oil or not. We did have to fill up the oil on the way here after driving, from Delta all the way to pretty much, it was Council Bluffs when we had to put oil in it. But the truck had been really sitting for 3 years. I mean, they would start it up for 30 minutes every month, but it pretty much just been sitting. So, I mean, maybe the oil was just, when I checked the oil before we left, maybe it was just oil that was set in the pan, but there was none in the engine, and so maybe it was just by driving it,
was just low on oil, and I couldn't tell because it was sitting so much. Because I don't see any oil on the ground. I don't see any smoke coming out of the exhaust. I don't see a lot of oil or gunk on the engine. So I don't know that I have an oil leak or anything like that, but I probably should check that. So, but yeah, I'm gonna fix that truck up. I'm not gonna make it too crazy off-road, ridiculously high. I might go bigger tires and wheels, but ones that would not require a lift kit, maybe to make it a little better in dirt and stuff like that. But I think this would be cool to take back to Colorado on our next trip, because my mom always really wanted to do some off-road stuff. Probably not wild, crazy off-road stuff, and now that she's 80-some years old, she's probably even more careful about those kind of things. But she bought a Volkswagen thing. I think I mentioned this in another video. If I didn't, oh well. You'll see it pictures, family pictures, like when my dad passed away, I made the memorial video, and there was a little picture of the Volkswagen thing. And she wanted to take all those doors off, take the top off that thing, and go up and down the dunes. And there was a couple times where she got on hills that were a little steeper going down than she wanted to do, and she got a little scared, so she backed off. But I mean, she wanted to do that. And so I want to get the truck fixed up, and we could go maybe out to Escalante Canyon, stuff like that, go across some, I don't remember the areas in Colorado that much, honestly, but I remember one time we went with some friends that she knew, and they all went out, and we went across some rivers, and she went in the thing, and they had to pull us out. But it was fun. It's what she wanted to do. So I would like to do that with the truck. Plus, I figure it might be kind of nice to have a go vehicle, so to speak. Something that's got a little more clearance when everything is falling apart around you and you have to drive over trees, as you saw the other day. I have a feeling that weather situations aren't going to get better. Sneaky feeling. No, it doesn't take a lot of insight, guys. This isn't getting better because no one's making change. So obviously it's not a vehicle I'd be driving all the time because carbon footprint and all that stuff. But unless I'm traveling, I don't really drive a whole lot. I work from home. So I don't commute. I maybe go to the store once or twice a week, which is like a mile. And so that's the extent of my driving. I avoid driving. I hate driving. I hate going places. I'm lazy. I want to just stay home and work on my computer. So unless we're actually traveling, I don't put much out there. So that's a plus. I mean, as opposed to if I had to commute to work every day, from here to Des Moines every day, day in, day out, that's not my situation. Not meaning to get sidetracked with that, but I do think that it would be nice also to have a little vehicle. I would like to to help out with the storm watch when storms come. The day we had the Derecho, the only reason I even knew anything was going was my radio kicked on and I heard all the guys reporting in of what they were seeing, because they go out, it's not storm chasing, it's storm watching. They're looking more for conditions. Where does it look like it's coming from? Do we see water rising? Stuff like that. And I started hearing all these reports on the radio. I didn't hear sirens. In my house, I couldn't hear the sirens. I had no idea anything was going on, except all the chatter on the radio. So I would like to contribute in that. I think it would be kind of fun. I have the ham radios to do it, of course. I have a little 2-meter radio to connect to our repeater. And I would like to get that, basically my truck outfitted for all that. My wife said she thinks the radio antennas are ugly and she doesn't want them on the SUV. I kind of have to agree. I don't really want to drill holes and mount stuff on my, $40,000 SUV. Putting on a little pickup, that's another story. Oh, they're already back to get another load.
So it's done. The cleanup is done. Now I just gotta find somebody to build my fence. So far, insurance is paid. I should break even with everything, which is more than I could ask for. So I'm glad about that. And now I just got to find somebody to do the work. Everybody is booked out for months fixing roofs, fixing fences, fixing everything. So that could take a while. So I still have a fence in my backyard. My antenna parts are coming, so I can be able to get my ham radio back working again soon. I'm gonna obviously have to put it on a different corner because that corner is destroyed. I guess I could use it and just unmount it when they built the fence, because that corner is still kind of there. So I guess I could do that. So I may be back on the air again soon. So other than not having a fence, I think this is finally behind us until the next shoe drops. All right. They're getting our posts all done. I'm finally gonna get internet. So about 17, 18 days after the storm, they finally got the posts up. They're running the wires. I don't know when they're actually gonna show up and fix my internet, but getting closer.